think we'll go ahead and get started. It's 1 o'clock Pacific, and I want to respect you guys' time. Hi, my name is Roger Kimball, and I'm one of the product managers for eRequester. And thank you for taking the time out of your busy day today and to join us and take a look at eRequester 2016's Request for Quote feature. So the RFQ, the Request for Quote feature in eRequester is intended to ensure that your purchasing decision makers are getting the best possible prices from your vendors. Obviously, you want to maximize the use of your purchasing dollar. And the key benefits we're going to show you today and demo and talk about are how you can easily submit multiple vendors for competitive pricing, being able to attach those electronic copies of the vendor bids that you get back to the requisition you're creating, how you can go about comparing the bids from all the vendors in a simple interface. You can award our request for quotes on a per line item basis to lower costs. So you don't always have to go if you are signing it out to an RFQ for multiple items. Maybe that vendor only has one that you really think they have a competitive price on. You're not restricted by that. And then we'll show you how all the requests for quotes flow into the normal requisitions and creating POs in eRequester itself. Hopefully you're familiar with that, but we can kind of give you a pointer into that and just show you kind of generally how easy it is to use. I'm going to use a made-up scenario just so we can kind of have some context, and it's really about our company needing to demo. We need to send some people to an industry conference, and we're going to need to buy some stuff for them, and we'll go through that. Let me go one more slide here. So, this is, and so I'm going to go over the feature benefits. We've talked about that. We'll talk about the live system. We'll do a live demo, and at the end, we definitely have time for questions and answers. If you want to type them into Turbo Meeting, we have people here that will gather those. If I don't end up seeing it and covering it, we'll definitely cover it at the end. So definitely have some time for that as well as part of this presentation. So request for quotes, basically it's about collaboration. That's a really strong theme for eRequester. So being able to see and have those visible to everybody on your team that might need to review or approve those RFQs or the final product, which is approved requisition and then going into a purchase order, and be able to capture kind of what happens and why things get sent back, and helping it make so you get a simple process for competitive pricing as possible. The standard benefit slide, it saves you time. You're receiving the quotes back from the vendor. You're being able to upload them and then being able to review those responses within the Create Requisition UI. And collaborative sourcing. So you can send specific instructions. I'll show you how to do that for each vendor, telling them specifically what you want to focus on or something you want to make sure they especially note. Once again, being able to review that on the review request screen, and then having that captured, and so it's not stuck in somebody's inbox, and you don't really understand how we came about to choose a certain vendor, and you can have the supporting documentation captured within eRequester itself. And then saving money, so obviously, leveraging it, so using a request for quote feature basically sets that expectation with the vendor that, you're looking for the best possible price, and that, there's some competition for them. Being able to, once again, pick out individual lines to award to a certain vendor and not award them, basically have that flexibility. And then basically having this all captured electronically basically saves time and effort and filing and all the other benefits of using that kind of solution. So I'm just going to jump into the demo, and we'll go forward and see how this works. Okay, so this is eRequester 2016, one of our recent builds. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is once again, the scenario is we need to we need to buy some new demo laptops. Our current ones just basically aren't in good shape after having gone to some other shows. We need to rent a demo booth so that when we go to the conference, we have a presence and we can have some place to meet with customers and show them our latest offering. And we need to give, you go to a conference, you need to give away some stuff. So we're going to get something with our logo on it and hand it out so that people see our company and make ourselves more visible. So I'm going to go ahead and create a requisition and call it December conference. Apologize for my horrible typing. And I'm going to put it against the sales department because they get to go to those demos. And basically, in order to define what can be sent out to a vendor with an RFQ, you need to add items to the requisition. And you have the choice. You can either use all unlisted vendors, so I can just say, okay, I don't really know who I'm going to buy this from, and I'm going to send this out to a number of vendors, and whoever has the best pricing, I'll go ahead and award it to them. Or if I know that, hey, I'm going to go ahead and award, basically I just want to, check the pricing from this vendor and make sure that they're being honest with me, I can go and pick that up, or I can select them and start with them. But I always have the opportunity to generate a new RFQ, send it out to another vendor, and then decide, okay, yeah, their price is better. So I'm just going to go with a couple of vendors that I know have decent pricing on 2 of the items, and then on the third, I'll go with an unlisted vendor. So let me go ahead and select a vendor here real quickly. I'm going to choose CDW, and I'm going to do an item. We actually have a listed item, and it's going to be this Dell laptop that we've got. We basically have a corporate standard on. So I'm going to choose 2 of those. We think the cost is going to be around $1,500, but I want to see what prices I can actually get for that. And then I'm going to change this to an unlisted vendor. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my next item. And this is, we need to hand out something. Actually, I'm going to do this. It's going to be a Frisbee. So we're going to do a Frisbee with our logo on it. And I need, let's say, 500 of those. And basically, I think I can spend about $2.50 per each of those. And then I'm going to add one more item to our demo list. And this could be, one item. It could be 50 if you wanted, or 500 if you wanted to. And then the third item I want to do, I know that basically I'm strongly leaning towards using one of our vendors, and it's Demo Booths Rentals, and because they're basically the only choice, but I still want to make sure that they take care of us and give us a good price. And my budget is $750. I'm hoping that they come in lower than that, and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and save and continue. So I put all the items on there. I'm going to say, normal delivery. And then basically, this is the start of the requisition that I can then use to then create requests for quotes based off of that. So I'm going to go ahead and create these 2 items. I know that, and I'm going to go select those 2 items from the line items. I'm going to click this Create RFQ button, and I'm going to choose CDW. And I'm going to say, okay, there's a due date here. I need it by the end of the month. So in order for lead times and everything else, even though it's December, I need it done. I need it back by a certain due date. And then I want to say, for the Frisbees, please use the logo, on file. So it could basically be any instructions that you wanted to send along to them. And I can, if I'd entered line item notes with greater detail or any specific instructions, I could also include those as well. And then I'm going to also, so that's all I'm going to do for those two, for this RFQ. So I'm going to go save and continue. If I had other vendors that I wanted to create an RFQ for those same items, then I could click the save and add new and keep picking additional vendors, and I could enter in specific notes for them, and it would generate separate RFQs for them. And if you notice here, we now have an RFQ number 607. Each RFQ gets a unique number. It's for this vendor, and I'll show you kind of more about this. But we start to document what did we ask them to quote for us. What's the due date? What's the status of it? Then let's say we have a direct account with Dell. So I want to create an RFQ with Dell, but only for the laptops. They don't sell Frisbees for some reason. So I'm going to go to Dell and go ahead, and then I'm going to say, our corporate account number is, something, right? So I'm going to save and continue on that. So now I've got a second RFQ for Dell Computer specifically, and then I'm going to do one for demo booth rental. And I'm going to, I'm going to click here. I'm going to click Create a RFQ, and I'm going to choose that vendor. This one I have a little more lead time because it's basically, they're going to be delivering it on site. So I'm going to say 10:15 is really, I'm comfortable with that. So that's good. And I'm going to ask them, please include fees for setup and tear down. And tear down. Okay, and then so I'm going to do a save and continue. So I've got now 3 RFQs that I have available, and I can go ahead and view them. And so this is our request for quote form. It'll have the information. It would, if I had line item notes, it would have the information here. Once I get information back, we can view it, but then you've got, you'll have more completed information. But I can go ahead now and email this out. So I can email this, including the RFQ, the vendor quote form, which I'll show you in a second. And once again, I can do additional messages. I can CC people. I have lots of options there. I'm going to go ahead and not email this out because I don't think that really is, it just shows up as an email attachment. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go and act like I'm the vendor and I've received it. So what I'll go ahead and do is what they would receive in the mail would be, an email from your email system, and it would have this information, instructions for them, and there's an instructions tab that tells them basically what they need to do. They need to basically, see the items they're requesting. Please provide your own part number, your cost per item, and any notes related to this item. And there's an additional space at the bottom for any general notes. And when you're finished, basically save this back as an XLS and email it back to the person. So we're going to go ahead and fill this out. And this was for CDW, so we're going to say, they're going to have, the laptops, they're going to have I have to enable editing, and then it's going to be $1,475. And then I'm going to be able to, the Frisbees, they can give it to me for, let's say, $1.75. They're, it's pretty straightforward for them. So then I'm going to go ahead and save this. And I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to, if I were CDW, I would email that back to Roger K at Paperless Business. He would see that. He would go ahead and upload this. So he would come to the requisition, go ahead and find this. Let me close that just to be replicate what you would see. So we would go ahead and choose this, go ahead and open this, and I could say CDW quote, and it's maybe the date, 9/15/16, and I'm going to go ahead and upload the attachment. And I could, if I had a series of those, I could just, if I had received all the RFQs back from my vendor, or from all the vendors, I could go ahead and do those, one after the other, but they'll probably trickle in. One thing I didn't talk about is you'll see that we see that the requisition was created, started by me. I'm Bill Admin, and then I created RFQs for these various users or various vendors, and now I can go ahead and view this. So what I can do from here is I can go ahead and view this RFQ. I can obviously delete or edit it. I can close it if I decide that CDW hasn't responded in a timely manner by my due date. I can go ahead and close it, or I can go ahead and award it. So if I wanted to award it directly from here, I can. I'll show you how we can go about comparing it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get a response entered into the system from Dell and from our demo booths. So from Dell, they're actually going to say they're having a sale, so they're going to say it's $12.99 for these laptops, and the promo sale, and let's say 10/7. Go ahead and save this, and go ahead and close that. Once again, I'll go ahead and upload an Excel file. I'll choose that, and this would be RFQ 608, which is for my Dell computers. If you'll notice, we put in the date and we put in the STU and the RFQ number. I'll go ahead and open that and upload that, and then I'm going to do my demo booth rental. And enable editing, and then I'm going to say $900, and basically, due to site constraints, we will need extra labor to do this, something like that. So they can send you an explanation of what is particular about that price and what is actually driving that. They can also put in a vendor part number. So for the Dell laptop, or let's say CDW has a different price number, part number, we can capture that, and if you then go ahead and award it to that vendor, we would actually use their vendor part number. So that's something that makes it easier for them to understand what we're ordering and what needs to be delivered. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and go ahead and upload the Excel file. And if you're working with them, and let's say you call them up and say, hey, vendor, your price is not, what I expected, you can always upload a newer version of the RFQ. We basically are going to, use the latest updated one, but you could update 2, 3, 4 versions of the RFQ from the vendor if they're, if you're having conversations and having discussions, and they say, oh, let me send you I didn't know that, let me send you an updated version of it, so you can do that. So we've got the RFQs, we've got them uploaded in the system, so we can go ahead and take a look. And then really, once you're ready to make a decision and you say, okay, I've given the vendors enough time and enough information, and I've gotten their RFQs back, if they've chosen to send them back, then I can go ahead and make a decision. And the easiest way to do that, if you have multiple items, is just to do a compared check. So I checked each one of them, and then it brings them up in a grid form. So, and if I scroll over, then I've got demo booth rentals over here. So you can have up to 6 vendors, 6 RFQs per requisition. And so what I can do is I can make some decisions here. I can say, okay, so CDW and Dell gave me pricing information because I asked for it, And you know what? Shockingly, Dell is cheaper for that than CDW. So I can go ahead and choose, and it's entirely up to me who I want to choose to award this to. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and choose, and I can also decide if I want to put in some notes, either about freight or other, and kind of say exceptions. And I could say other here, and I can say, you know, promo or need to order by 10/7 to get best price. Or I can say, you know, only ships, you know, UPS, so shipping will be more. So you can capture those kinds of information. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is on this line of the requisition, I'm going to go ahead and award this to Dell Computer. So it now changes it to awarded, and it gives me a status update. For Frisbees, I'm actually going to go with CDW. They have a good price, and I think I'm okay with that. They're actually below what I hoped it would be, so I'm going to go ahead and award that to them. And then for demo booth rental, if I scroll over, yeah, $900 is more than I wanted to spend, but I can see why they gave me an explanation, so I'm going to go ahead and award that to them. So once I've done all my awarding, and I can change that, so if I come back and say, oh, you know, I thought about it, and I decided I didn't want to go with Dell, I really want to go with CDW because we get a better warranty, I can do that. So at any time before I go and actually create the purchase order, I can go ahead and change that award based on the rights I have. So I'm going to go ahead and save, and then I'm going to go ahead and click Done. So now, before we had all our vendors were unlisted, we now show it as multiple vendors, which is a standard feature of eRequester and our ability to support multiple vendors on a requisition. I have the information here, and I can go ahead now and save and continue and put this through for our normal approval routing, and I can go ahead and submit this request. And once it's been submitted, then I can go ahead and create the PO, which we obviously didn't, in this demo company, we didn't have a very complex. And so I can create 3 different POs. So now I have the requisition, the history of the requisition, I have the RFQs captured in here. Once I create the PO, the status of the RFQ is automatically changed to closed. I can view them now, and I have the information there, and I can view what all the information there. So that's RFQ in a nutshell. Let me see if there's, yeah, that's basically what we wanted to demo, is the ability for you to basically, see the process by which you send the RFQs to the vendor, by which you then get their data back and are able to capture that information. You can do the comparison on the compare checked UI here, and then we can award on a per line item basis based on what we want to do, and then how it feeds into the normal the requisition review process, and then how it then can create multiple POs if you had, if you have multiple vendors. You can absolutely do a single requisition you could do multiple requisitions for the same group of items, and then decide, okay, as a group, you want to buy everything from a single vendor. It's really up to you how you want to structure that. So that's really everything I wanted to demo. If there's any questions, definitely have time now to see if anybody has any questions about the RFQ feature. So somebody's asking, can I award a particular vendor with an order even though they're not the lowest price, and is it possible to add comments with respect to the award determination? Yes, you are not restricted. It's entirely your choice of, if you want to go with a particular vendor that has a higher price quoted for whatever reasons, and you can either put in a comment as part of the requisition, or you can enter, which would be, to me, the easiest way to do that, is to add a comment to the bottom of the requisition, because that's going to be the most visible when you go ahead and say, I awarded this to them because of, I don't think the other price is actually valid, or I don't think they'll be able to deliver, or we're switching all our business over to these guys. So it's really, you have the control and the decision making in the system. We're just trying to provide you with the ability to capture the data and then make the decision based upon your business rules. Cal, yes, I am recording it if everything worked well. If you would send an email to accounts@eRequester.com, I'll make sure one of our sales folks can make sure that we hook you up with a recording. So we'll definitely try and make that happen. So somebody's asking, would I need the eRequester multi-currency module if I'm placing orders with vendors overseas for price comparison reasons? If you're dealing with multi-currency in your accounting system today, then yes, basically the request for quote feature would basically take that into consideration and then end up showing you the foreign currency and your base home currency with whatever accounting system you're using, and so you'd be able to compare basically the prices in kind of an apples to apples comparison with the base currency. But that does require that you have the multi-currency module. Otherwise, we're going to assume that your vendors their quotes are in whatever currency your accounting system and eRequester are set up to use. So I hope that makes sense. If you have additional questions, you can always ask. Anything else? Anything other questions that we can answer for you? Well, if you have any questions about request for quote or obviously any of our features and functionality, you can reach out to accounts@eRequester.com, and we would be happy to answer any questions you might have. And we do appreciate your time, and thank you for signing up for this webinar. And we're going to be trying to do more of these on some of our newer features and functionality. So definitely be on the lookout for those emails. And we definitely, once again, thank you. And thank you for showing up and being attentive. So have a great day.